And this is a quarter to a quarter and a half or 2 quarters after CalPERS sold their stake, after the Bank of Canada sold their stake, after other pensions sold their stake. But Pennsylvania Pension Fund comes in and says, fuck you, I want shares.
So this isn't for them going ahead and actually borrowing said share, correct? Or lending them out.
Lending them, I would say no, because why the fuck would you want percent rate on a $4 stock that don't pay a
That's just
dividend?
stupid. That's
Yeah,
just
it wouldn't make
Right?
stupid.
sense.
Now, if somebody was offering competitive rate to borrow to cover FTDs or roll them out, yeah, you could for a period. See, there might have been an excessive FTD count where somebody said, if you do this, loan to us, we'll pay you X amount of interest. But that's going to be on a timeline. You have to remember, nobody would offer that unless if they're trying to hide FTDs. And if they're trying to hide FTDs and you're paying that exorbitant interest to the pension fund, it doesn't stop them from being naked.
No.
It's still short interest against. So yes, you have the purchase of the pension fund through the company, but that's not that could be considered dilutive, but since it didn't really go to market and they're already owned, it's not even diluted because it's already accounted for by somebody. It's not if they sell them, they would dilute them, but like I said, they're not buying a sub 5 stock to fucking sell it. And if they're doing it for lending, they're doing it for lending purposes at a rate equivalent to value of somebody's exposure to FTDs. And if they're doing it for exposure to somebody's FTDs, it's going to be on a interest rate expiration timeline in which them FTDs just get exposed again. And the pension fund stands a lot more to lose on a $4.50 stock going down by 30%.
It doesn't add up.
Right. They're not that they lose money on the invest. So think of it as the bond. All right, yeah, you can make 6% of a bond, but if the fucking bond's underlying value goes down by 20%, you're losing 14%.
That's
Exactly.
just stupid. That's stupid.
So do I think they could lend them out to do a 30-day rollover on an FTD for a percent value? I
I
mean,
mean,
if
yeah,
I
they
was them,
could.
I would collect that short term gain for the long term value. Why not? Do I think it
Yeah.
matters that they lend them out? No.
No. I don't think they're going to do it regardless. That's just stupid math.
Well, I mean, if somebody was paying 1,000% that it
I
was
mean,
listed,
that's different. That's
but at the
different.
same
But I
time, it's
mean,
a pension, so that would not be something that wouldn't be known.
Kind of funny that they actually want shares and they want the transfer of ownership back to them, huh?
And when was these shares purchased?
Um,
December 29th.
coming into the new year, which, if you go to the FTD report for T plus 35, takes you about the 19th to the 25th, when it had
Yep.
$30 million in value of
And that
FTDs.
and that massive amount of FTD amount came through that week too.
And just because it was disclosed on the end of December doesn't mean that it didn't happen before then. The completion of the deal is the date, not necessarily the deal. And they have X amount of days to report.
Very
Uh,
aggressive.
At what price did they buy it at? Does it say?
No, that would be private.
Put it this way: they bought enough just to make sure that they covered the pension fund, and it
Let,
covers
let's
their
put it this
ass.
way: you're not getting 5% of a company that's got 200 million shares. That's at a share price of even at its low 360 for less than a 25-30% premium on what it would cost you to get it at the market.
So it's safe. Well, I'm not gonna say safe to say, but are you saying that they bought it at a higher price, so they're sitting on a loss right now,
Yes,
technically?
I'm
Okay.
I'm saying they paid
Yes.
probably at least 40% above current market time. And if we say go by the average, you say $4, right? $4 would be a dollar. Every dollar would be 25% premium. But if you went to buy fucking 10 million shares, like I said, over a period, you're gonna run the price more than the value that you would get, and by getting it from the company, you guarantee ownership, not fucking naked sell.
So what you're pretty much getting at is that you think they're making this move because they think that something's about to come up and it's better to own shares right now than anything else.
100%.
I don't believe that. Like I don't believe that. I gotta like they might just be holding it. Because like I said, loaning them is a lucrative. It's a lucrative business for them. If they bought a substantial amount, I mean, they have a lot to loan, and if you see the short interest, it just keeps going
What's
up and up
what's
and up.
what's the average timeline of a pension fund's holding?
I'm not sure, but I
If
should
it
imagine
wasn't
if it.
5% interest in the company, to where they could literally have a non-influential member sit in a board meeting, right? I would say yeah. But when you're buying 5% of a company ownership, it's not a short-term investment. It's an investment for gain.
Oh, yeah, that I 100% agree, but that's what I'm saying. That it doesn't mean that it's gonna happen in a month, like it's gonna happen in a year, like it could happen in
No,
10
I didn't
years.
put no timelines. I just said they could be loaning them out short-term against the FTD value for whatever interest deal they made on the loan value to hide FTE. But in a macro sense, it's not like they're going to collect that value. It's not like, oh, we got our money, now we're going to sell it on. That's
And
not going to.
but why is the short interest like going up rapidly? It's not slowing down. Like it's just going up by the day, a percentage by the day. I mean, if it keeps going at the rate that it is, by next week we're going to be sitting around 20% again. You know, and that's with less shares than what we had before the reverse split and all this stuff. So what's the reason that these things are getting shorted? Is it for some people saying
That's
out
like
there?
asking why did we go down from fucking $7, $8, $9, $10 to fucking $3.50?
Pretty much.
Because it's costing them too much to fucking let the price run.
Exactly, because they're
Do
printing
you
so much.
think this? Do you think this person, this lawyer who signed off on this, doesn't have inside information of the fucking Allegheny fucking community fucking retirement fund from Pittsburgh
I bet you
in
he
the
does.
lawsuit last year?
Yeah, there's plenty of information.
It wouldn't surprise me in any which way.
And she's
You know,
like,
right?
yeah,
You know how I know you're gonna be right, Matt? If I see Brett Harrison in cuffs, then I'll be like, you know what? There's something to it. Otherwise, there's nothing to it because he's still out here, and he's the guy that orchestrated the whole thing. He's the guy behind the plan, but behind him is somebody else. So that's what I'm saying. So maybe there is some
I think
validity
there's
to
a
that.
lot of people on all. I think there's a lot of influencers in the institutional side that are on all sides of this play. I think you got your Harrisons that are fucked. I think you got your social media that are fucked. You got your social media that are in it to win it. You got your fucking institutions that are in it to win it. You got Honestly, I think Vanguard's trying to own the bank
Wouldn't
You even
surprise
have
me.
you even
and
have the
Black.
Rockefeller. You even have the Rockefeller money in here too.
I mean, you think they're not out to cut each other's throats? Well, let me tell you something. Fucking BlackRock is shorting Blackstone on their real estate ventures.
That wouldn't surprise me either.
I mean, I did call it, hungry, hungry billionaire. That's for a reason. It's because, like I said, like none of these guys, like their whole thing is to make money. That's their whole thing. It's not about who, they don't care
Right.
who goes down. It just, who makes the most money. So I get it, you know what I mean? But like, until we see these Brett Harrisons, but that's interesting though, man, to see that, these people are buying in, but I always take it with a grain of salt. And like I said, like when are they gonna bring Harrison into Cubs?
I would accept.
I don't think Brett Harrison is going in cuffs anytime soon. So let's
I'd take it
not
with a
worry
grain of
about
salt,
him.
except it's like 6% fucking ownership interest in the company. That's not a small feat. Like you think of AMC buying dirt interest as a partnership with what's his name in Highcroft, right? And Highcroft's
Mhm.
not a fucking profitable company yet. Now they're starting to fucking pull up silver. Now they're actually going after it now, and they have goals as to what they expect to pull out of the ground. But AMC is a profitable company, and a pension fund owning AMC. Think about that. A pension fund owns
Yeah,
AMC.
AMC.
5%. And last we knew, we own 90%.
Yikes. Where are they getting the shares?
That's
That's
what
the
I mean.
$1 million question.
Well, you can thank the SEC that's thinking about accepting tokenization, so you have that.
I mean, that's still the $1 million question here. I mean, you don't know where those shares are coming from, considering we've owned the float since what, March of 21?
Yeah, or before in February.
You also got
but still,
to understand the aspect that leverage against that with the new margin requirements that they're talking about create value for, say, somebody like a pension fund who owns an asset that you're leveraged against and don't have the margin to hold.
it's a very interesting thing that came up. I mean, there's a million different angles that they could go off of. It's really just a matter of what
They
it
have all
is.
the power. It's just I can't say what they choose to do with it, but I just don't see them doing a 5% stake
No, that's stupid.
where they have to disclose a position unless they're
Correct.
not feeling very vulnerable to disclosing it.
I highly doubt that, considering that it's stupid. I mean, it's stupidity if they try to do that.
And it's a sub $5 stock that's moving at hundredths of a penny.
Correct. And that also brings you into the added percentages of margin that happened yesterday.
And when it goes to
Or that
fucking $5, it moves by tenths of a penny.
mm-hmm. That's no, they're not going to waste money like that. That just doesn't make
No,
any iota of sense.
they see
None.
it as above a $10 stock, or they wouldn't even be here.
Correct.
Yeah. Which, funny enough, you said that because
Or
there
they
was
see it as a dividend stock, and there's a paragraph in that disclosure that says about dividend rights on the transfer ownership from Vanguard to the pension fund. It's like the last page. It's like third paragraph. I can't look at it or I'll lose the space.
So, is it on your Twitter feed?
Yes, it is. It's in third
Let me
picture.
go ahead.
The bottom on the left, I think it's in that picture of the four.
Let me go ahead and do this.
Or just go to the fucking link that I linked it.
Gotcha.
The one picture,
Got it.
there's a paragraph. It says about dividend. Somebody knows something we don't.
Certification, signature.
What do pension funds like? Dividends.
They sure do.
So you think
Dividends on a $4 stock?
you think that Adam Aaron's going to issue a dividend pretty soon on February 28th announcement?
I
Or
think the
what?
pension fund thinks they're going to issue a dividend pretty soon. Whether I do or not's irrelevant.
I'm asking for instead of that pension fund, and that mindset.
My opinion is that a pension fund's not going to get in a sub 5 company with no dividend.
Yeah.
So they're
And
either thinking it's a $10 stock, or they're thinking it's a sub $5 stock that's about to
No,
issue it,
a
which
dividend.
will
Yeah,
make it a $10 stock anyway.
exactly. What that's what I'm pretty much getting at. That they're going to get in because they think they have information about either a dividend or they just think that's going to $14-17, like that one analyst said it was. Like I forgot it. The analyst was saying that it's going to 14 or $13.
The Vanguard Group Inc.'s clients, including investment companies registered under the Investment Company Act of 1940 and other managed accounts, have the right to receive or the power to direct the receipt of a dividend from or the proceeds from the sale of the securities reported herein. No
So
other person's
Vanguard's the
interest
holding.
in
Vanguard's the what do you call that? Webull doesn't hold your
primary.
shares. Your broker don't hold it. That's the custody arrangement. But Vanguard don't get to keep the dividend. They forward the dividend on behalf of holding it for the pension fund.
This way everybody can see what I'm talking about.
But they
So,
wouldn't have had to put that in that statement unless there was a reason it's there.
I mean, that is a very important disclosure topic that you basically Vanguard's covering their ass.
Yeah, they got it in writing from Vanguard that fuck you. If you're shorting your fucking loans, we still get
Hey
our
guys,
dividend.
but let me ask you guys this question: is that like a clause that is like a standard? Just like a,
Yeah, it
like
is standard, which is exactly why it wouldn't have to be in the statement.
So, like, what I'm asking is, how when you have a contract, usually they're like generic. They have like things that they're always going to be in the contract. You know what I mean? Is that
Yeah,
one of those type of things that is
yeah.
always in the
It's an
contract,
SEC
regardless of the
rule.
matter?
It's an SEC rule listed right under the rules numbers that they posted.
Yeah, it's a format.
Okay, so like, but you guys understand what I'm trying to ask, right? Like, it's not saying that it is or it isn't. It's just always there because it's always there, right?
They're they're confirming that rule exists in this situation, that we get the dividend regardless of Vanguard holding the
Okay, all right, but
being the
let's say AMC is not a
custodian.
dividend stock. Let's say the AMC is not a dividend stock. Let's say that,
It's
right?
not. Yeah.
That, so would it say that? No, I'm saying like, even like, let's say they never did it before, never before. Would they still have that in that clause? Would that clause will still be there, even if
It would still
AMC?
be there whether it
Okay,
said it or not. Unless they had some other agreement with Vanguard that they could keep the dividend as a side contract to the rules.
Yeah, it's a format. That's why I said the word format, because it's established. It's everywhere. It's normal writing in contracts like these.
It's covering their ass. Period. Point blank.
Exactly.
That's what it is, and that's what it's made for. Because they can't go back and basically said, "Oh, wait, they gave out a dividend. Blah 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 blah. I want my dividend." And Vanguard's going to protect themselves.
Let me put an example out that will
Go
put
ahead.
some clarity on it. AMC issued a split it into APE. How many overseas entities received that dividend APE?
None.
I mean, overseas, I mean, some people didn't,
Right.
but it took time for others to get it. But some people didn't get it. Not everybody did not get it. Like, some people didn't get it.
We never got it. All that dividend was custodied in the U.S. Nothing was sent over. They might have put it in a ledger as an IOU.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But who is to tell which? Because our goddamn stocks could be ledgers too, which probably they are. But who's to tell which one is what? That's what I'm saying. Like, this is what I'm trying to keep it
That's
clear.
why the DTCC is fucked.
Man, these fucking guys. All the C's, man. I'm already tired of all the C's, man.
Why do you think they're introducing? My bad. Why do you think they're introducing tokenization as a way to do? They're trying to incorporate it
through a pension.
No, through the SEC is trying to implement tokenization. They're trying to talk about it and actually allowing it or trying to advertise it to allow it in here.
AMC already incorporated.
I'm talking about the SEC, how they're trying to use tokenization now. They're allowing tokenization.
Yeah, it's a collateral value if you can get people to fucking invest their money in it to get them out of the situation that they're in. Yeah, they're going to allow it. What do you want them to do? Like I said in my rooms lately, or rooms that I was involved with, what like they're telling you, write the SEC about the Bizzle rules. What do you want the SEC to do? Listen to you tie a fucking static line around her neck and jump out of a jet at 288 miles an hour at 35,000 feet in the air?
Whee!
They're going to pacify you with some rule because of the outrage, and they're going to put loopholes that you'll never see in it anyhow to circumvent the fucking rule that they made to pacify all the complaints. It's what they've done ever since I've been in this play.
Matt, did you ever do airborne?
I wanted to until I seen what the fucking Army parachutes look like and saw a guy fucking fall flat sideways on a deflated parachute in the middle of a runway strip.
I remember my first jump. And my first jump, it's nothing big, but you're getting up there and everybody's saying, yes, jump master. Jump master tells you, are you ready? Yes, jump master, we're ready. And then all of a sudden you get up there and then you're just like, Alan, are you ready? Hell no.
And
Yes,
boot
you
me
are.
ass. No, what I seen when I was in the Army and I went to an air show, I saw there must have been fucking 50 paratroopers jump out of a Chinook, a drop back Chinook, on static line parachutes. And it was hot as fuck out that day. And every one of them caught an updraft and started going up instead of down. And by the time they got out of the updraft, their parachutes half deflated and they were doing fucking 60-degree fucking pendulum. Right? And one of the guys hit the fucking runway flat sideways on a half deflated fucking parachute. He didn't get up for like fucking 20 minutes. They had the ambulance over there and everything. I bet he broke a leg or a hip or something. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing airborne with the Army. Fuck them and their parachutes.
Oh, I loved it. Even though I was only
I always wanted to. But I said if I ever did, it would be with a civilian chute that you actually can control.
That I can understand in every which way. Don't land on your ass. I can tell you that much.
They landed on a fucking runway concrete.
Yeah, no, that would hurt like hell.
They were supposed to land in the field beside the airport.
Yeah. So they actually landed on concrete?
They landed on the runway.
Holy crap. That is bad. That is absolutely
They were about halfway down and caught a fucking hot air updraft. And it started them going up instead of down. And then when that passed through, they hit a crosswind that had them rocking 30 degrees each way. And they spent the whole rest of the time slow floating down 30 degrees each way, speeding up as they came down. And the one guy landed literally lateral to the fucking runway. His feet were the same height as his head.
Oh, I bet. I bet that is not a fun landing spot either. So we're going to go kind of transfer where we were talking about. We're going to go talk about our good friends over at Geo Capital, just so everybody can understand that, poison pill that's basically happening. I'm just going to what I need over here.
Shoot, that's how they survive, man. That Geo Capital.
Oh, that absolutely. This kind of it kind of rounds about everything that we're talking about because now this is their saving grace.
How much money do they have?
Wait, what's Geo's saving grace?
Like those same principles as what Geo Capital is doing for the government.
You can say that. More risk
Yeah.
don't make
No, but I'm saying this is what the can
more
kick
risk
kind of
don't
looks
make
like.
less exposure.
No, but
Right.
they do help out with spy and the rest of it to keep it down. That does, and they control the Mag 7, so it's something.
That's funny because everybody seems to be liquidating and going to ARM.
Oh yeah,
And they
that's another
said,
one too.
well, the sevens didn't come down as much as the S&P. What the hell's because it's not reflected in the fucking big seven market yet because they did
Yep,
ATS.
yep,
They
yep.
liquidated ATS, and that won't be reflecting the market for 3-4 days, maybe 30 days.
They're just gonna say, "Hold up,
The rug pull's
wait a
happening
minute."
now. You won't see it for a week. Look at
That's
this
true.
SPY today.
And it's funny
Oh
because
fuck! I made a shit ton on SPY on my paper account today.
Dude,
it's
I
funny because Powell was talking about how oh well or Janet Yellen was talking about soft landings or Jay Powell, my bad, and yeah, see soft landings, and now we're experiencing this heavy drops. Okay, that's fun.
they don't know what a soft landing is. They have no idea. That airplane is coming and trying to land in sand. It ain't happening. Plane's gonna snap in two. That's basically what's going to happen. But as I was perusing on Friday, right before I was sat there and talked to Matt and Rob and Bleach, before we went on to our space call where we kind of got the example of a rug pull, I was going through 13F filings, and this was primarily on the Mega 7. And the reason why that I was doing it is because there was one name that basically matched each one of the ownerships of of the Mega 7, and that happened to be Geo Capital. So, what are some of the things that Geo Capital does? So everybody can see. I will post it up here.
You want me to give you a summary real quick?
Here you go. So this way you can see my
They might
screen.
as well be the
So
Freddie Mae and Freddie Mac equivalent of the real estate market.
pretty
Yep.
much. So geo strategies are a risk-adjusted performances, transparency of investments, process, liquidity, and efficiency assists our clients in meeting their investment objectives. Equity indexes. Geo provides efficient exposure to various market segments. So that's global, regional, country, development markets, emerging markets, smart beta, the Matic, market cap, and custom. They also go into options. So the persistent volatility premium exists within equity markets, and that is the spread between implied and realized volatility is best captured through a disciplined investment approach focused on minimizing option cost relative to the premium income. Now, one of the things that we did discuss on Friday was how here's their options, here's their equities. The commodities is the most important thing. So, in commodities, are distinct asset class which plays an important role in portfolio diversification and have a potential to hedge against inflation. Matt, what is the reason why they have commodities with the options?
Because it's low capital value against the risk asset value that they can manipulate for better gains.
So, like with the gold and
And you don't
silver
have
and
to report
copper,
them.
and with like the gold and silver and the copper, or
And
yeah,
you can
copper
control the
and
future pricing for future price outlook of your investment.
so basically they're kind of the main reason as to why your indexes are propped up. They're also the main reasons as to why your VIX is going down and that there is no implied volatility in anything that is market driven.
Let's go further into the futures and let's talk about the futures version of crypto.
Go ahead.
The futures version of crypto is if you're a hedge fund and you're invested in crypto and you want to control the future price of crypto, put a board member in the fucking mining company so you can direct buy the crypto from the mining company without them having to go sell it to market, dragging down the price. You do a set price. Now you acquired through that price market control reflection of the blockchain value of that asset.
So here's their management team. I wanted to go into the other one.
You ever wonder why Mara pumps?
And you
Alt,
PST.
did you see Alt today?
Yes, I did.
No, I
5
didn't.
million fucking free float, 51 million shares in less than an hour in volume.
Wow.
150% gain on a fucking. Actually, in 3 days, it went from like sub 40 cents, 38 cents to fucking $1.09. And then back down to 50.
Not bad at all.
There you go. Arlene
On a
Rockefeller.
reported 200,000 share short report.
That's
Should-
nuts.
They borrowed like 5 point. Yeah.
That was after a third quarter reverse or mid-December reverse split when everybody else, like, do you see how many reverse splits they were in mid-December report? December 14, 15. And all these fucking mid-December splits are fucking ballooning as a result of the fucking. Now, Alt also is doing. How is Alt doing a $50 million buyback on a 40-cent stock that had a split value of float of 5 million shares?
Your guess is as good as mine, my friend, on that one. I don't know how that's possible.
Yeah, you got me on that one.
Yeah, I mean, do we honestly know? I mean, they're going to do anything nefarious they can to keep them afloat.
They bought the shorts.
What?
They used capital value to buy off the shorts. How else do you fucking buy $50 million of a fucking market that's got a market cap of 5 times 50 cents?
Holy shit.
That's only
Wow.
$2.5 million market cap.
So in other words, they're buying the shorts to push themselves up.
I think they're buying 50 million shares off the market, which was the huge increase in that hour, and to accumulate the naked shares from retail to create a sell so that they could in turn sell for whatever price the shorts needed to get out of their short position.
Wow.
Does that make sense? Do you follow?
Yeah,
That makes sense.
I got you.
Because you got naked longs. If they go to market and buy $50 million worth of fucking naked longs, then they can in turn sell the naked longs to the short sellers as a wash balance against the short so they can get out of their shorts. The company makes a shit ton of money. Anybody that fucking liquidated their naked longs made money on a fucking 150, 200%, whatever return.
That's still nuts. I mean, that is absolutely crazy.
That's not bad.
No, I'm talking about the shorts actually paying for their own shorts to go ahead and basically boost the value so that they can get out okay.
Yeah, but
It's a controlled squeeze.
Yeah.
And it all happened in an hour. But it took fucking 5 floats to do it.
It just shows how deep in water that they all are. I hate to think what they're going to try and do with our favorite ticker.
The fucked up part is they're still selling naked shares of alt at the current moment and reestablishing their positions.
Wow.
You can see that in the price action afterwards. It ain't back down to fucking 20, 30 cents. It's
No.
still holding 50 cents. I think alt thought that rather than reverse split, they cut a deal, thought they'd stay under over $1 long enough not to have to do a reverse split later. And they fucking used them, dropped the price back down within the hour. It's sitting back at 50 cents again.
Wow.
All this while February 13th, the swaps were pretty much, I want to say activated, if I could say that.
Well, paper turns into real.
Anyhow, the company made money so they can continue to fucking exist for however long. Their capital
while.
gains on their next report's going to be humongous.
That's a good thing.
For the company, yeah.
Yeah, for the company, that's actually a good thing. So
And you would say that's bad for the shorts, but not if they have to reverse split again to get in compliance over $1 because it didn't hold there.
Until
Should
he
be
issues the
interesting.
dividend.
So,
well, yeah, that's
back to-
interesting because they did the reverse split in mid-December, and now they're announcing a $50 million buyback. Which didn't Bed Bath and Beyond do that several times?
they tried to do that, yes.
I'm starting to think that this is an out system for the shorts when they're doing that fucking we'll RS and then we'll buy back and then we'll RS and then we'll buy back.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, but they couldn't get that on AMC though.
No, not this level.
I don't see that as a possibility in any which way for them to be able to reverse split that.
AMC ain't doing no fucking buybacks. They're doing sell-offs.
Yeah, correct.
To pay off the debt
Mm-hmm.
that's collateralized to us, which means we own the value of the company, and the company's value only goes up the more debt they pay off. And the collateral becomes more expensive for the fucking idiot that sold us the fucking debt naked.
Just stupid. Absolutely stupid. So I'm going to go back to Geode Capital. So with their commodities, so basically Geode Capital is managing $1 trillion in a basically the government trust fund. They consistently short the volatility on holdings they own to capture premium. And here's the stocks that they own based upon the 13 Fs that I discovered. And this list is above $10 billion in value. So you have Apple, 291 million shares at a value of $59 billion. You have Microsoft, 148 million shares at a $52.49 billion value. You have Amazon, 170 million shares at 24.96 value. Nvidia, 47.46 million shares at a value of $22 billion. The Google machine, aka Google, 121.3 million shares for a $16.52 billion value. Tesla, 51.66 million shares at a 13 billion and 13.48 billion dollar value. Meta, you have 46 million 0.05 shares, and it is 14.64 billion dollars worth in value. And then you have our good friends over at Berkshire Hathaway, a 32.29 million shares with 14.08 billion.
You know what Reuters News today said about Berkshire?
What's that?
Next $1 trillion market cap company.
Wow.
They're at like half of that right now.
$1 trillion market cap. Really?
Yep. I laughed.
That is absolutely bonkers.
They're trying to get rich people in
Oh, I bet.
because they need
Yeah.
collateral. Just like
in.
New York Community Bank is on a mission to get rich depositors because they're fucked. Also, I want to add to that alt situation why AMC can't do that and why that wouldn't work. Alt has no option chain, so there's no chance of a gamma.
That's true.
Along with all the other mid-December splits.
That is actually very interesting. That is very, very interesting that they don't have an option chain. It's kind of curious as to why.
And a lot of them were IPOs in the last 2 years.
So,
how's the Bitcoin ETFs doing?
I bet you it's doing fantastic.
Nope, I bet they're doing shit. I bet they liquidated I bet they liquidated the ETFs and fucking pumped Bitcoin. They scalped the fucking investor value in the ETFs to pump Bitcoin.
I don't think the pump is here yet. Not yet. It's coming though.
The Bitcoin pump?
Oh yeah. Like I said, for you to get these guys excited, and trust me, I'm in there with the crypto guys. Any of them that they're holding any type of Bitcoin,
institutions aren't going to pump Bitcoin. If there's any pumping in Bitcoin, it's retail.
Well, like I don't think retail has money like that. Like that's the thing. I mean, we're talking about billions and billions of dollars, and these guys are already in.
Central banks and market makers can sell Bitcoin up. Don't need a lot of volume to do that. They control the market value because it's a centralized exchange.
But when you say that there is no money needed for that, I mean it does have a market cap, so like some money has to go in there. A lot of money actually to pump it to, what I believe is gonna go to probably. I'm not sure, but I got to tell you it's above 70,000 because it already hit 69.
Well, I can tell you, first quarter miners are selling their assets. And they're selling them to the market, not to retail.
Are we talking about
the market's selling them to retail? Yeah.
James, what you say, James?
Are we talking about a rug pull here on the Bitcoin ETF?
Not yet. I'm just saying the pump's soon over. Once the miners get done selling their mined assets at market value, which is whatever the market wants it to be, which is higher, while they're pumping retail to buy that miner value off of them while pumping the price up to create collateral, then they're going to rug pull their own Bitcoin and steal all the value that they got from the miners and whatever they were able to unload value-wise to retail.
Interesting.
That's just an opinion. I don't know that. But I know that fucking market makers and fucking institutions have a lot of fucking inside board members in these crypto mining companies.
Agreed.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, that does make a shit ton of sense.
Why go to the market to get gold when you can go to Fycroft and buy it through future delivery on a diluted market of that delivery and then sell it to somebody else so you can scalp it off?
I get your point. It makes total sense. I just don't see them doing it.
I don't see them anything that's past them.
No, I mean it's crime. Crime.
How much did it cost J.P. Morgan?
For their nickel problem?
For their metals funds.
200, I think it was like 200 and something $million.
They probably made $3 billion in the time that they were doing it.
Yeah, that's just the cost of doing business.
It cost the scapegoats at the trading desk their fucking careers and jail time. But they don't give a fuck. There's a new one coming out of college. You can train to do the same thing right after they get booted.
That's just the cost of doing business. Come on.
You know, once the masses understand that part specifically, that they do
We're
crime,
all replaceable, even the guys at the trading desk that went to college to fucking learn it.
When they do crime like this, people don't understand that they pay these fines from the money that they make. So literally, they're still robbing you, right? But it's just to the public, it seems like, oh, look, Gary Gensler is charging somebody with this amount of money, but yet they made, like 25 times more than whatever they're getting charged. So when the masses understand that, that's when you're going to start seeing, more.
What I want to know is when are the kids that are going to school actually going to learn fucking finance and realize when they go to these fucking businesses,
that's not going to
tell their fucking boss to fuck you. That's illegal. They don't even know the fucking rules of the game.
That's not going to happen. And that's one thing, like after, I've been having this thought myself for a long time. That's why if and when MOAS does happen, it's up to the people to understand that it's up to you now to educate the people on what you actually know, right? It's up to you. Like, don't say to yourself like now, like, oh, how come they're not going to teach? They're not going to do that because the more people that are talking like with the way we're talking, the more of a problem for them it is. So they're never going to teach our kids. They're never going to teach the people that from where you're from. They're never going to teach anybody. It's up to you to teach, to let them know what you know, and then let them also start digging deeper.
Let's talk about the club boxing Kansas City game.
Do we have to? We have to?
I connect every person in that box to corruption, including.
Oh, I bet you can. Oh, I bet you can. We're going to go ahead and we'll save that for the space call. I want to get through this HTM problem.
I can't pull up that information to go into depth, but I will share that thread with you that I did.
Oh, for sure. So without the Fed, the bank term funding program, banks will have a harder time to basically hide till maturity with their losses. So basically what is happening is that on March 11th, you have the bank term funding program that's ending. What is that going to do? Well, it's basically going to take all of your prime brokers, your banks, hedge funds, family offices, and they will have to go to the Fed's window to basically go ahead and trade equities so this way they can get liquidity as opposed to getting a free basically a free form of liquidity per day with the bank term funding program, because there's no way that the Federal Reserve can actually afford to keep that open. Because
they're in layman terms.
Go ahead.
For shizzle, the bizzle is gonna fuck their bottom line snizzle.
Thank you. Thank you. I love the add-on.
And let me say this real quick. I know you want to get on to forward, but on the road to that March 11th date, we have February 13th as today. We have the activation of the CFTC and pretty much what they did with the swaps. And February 26th, they have the haircuts coming along. So on the road to March 11th, they have problems.
Mm-hmm.
It's beginning to look a lot like jail time. I mean, it's a wonderful thing that's transpiring right now. So when you have all of this and you have them you basically have the Federal Reserve trying to teach these members how to use a Fed window, they're not going to just turn in their best equity to go ahead and actually get money. You think they're going to try and trade in Nvidia or Apple for cash? I don't think so. There's no way. There's no way. So by doing this, Jerome, Mr. Burns, Powell is basically going ahead and wiping out a good 60% of the banks.
You know what else is going to fuck them?
Go ahead.
Shipping.
Yeah.
Because you know what else succeeds in depressions?
Go ahead.
Shipping.
Sure does.
You know why there's a war in the fucking Gulf and making fucking ships go around the fucking Africa to fucking deliver goods?
Because it makes money.
Because they overshorted shipping in 2022 and they can't get out of that. In 2000,
Interesting. I mean, they have so many problems. There's no way that they're going to be able to cover all
that's
this.
a huge fucking problem. If you're that short shipping, you can't get out of it.
No, but I mean, you're that short shipping. You're that short on us. You're that short on the main basket. Yeah, I mean, you have problems all around you.
The problem started because they didn't fucking report.
Correct.
Everybody did the same fucking thing on everybody's tips. Hey, economy's shutting down. Nobody's going to be able to go buy shit.
No.
You had a backlog of fucking supply. You got ships sitting in the fucking port yard, and now shipping's starting to fucking pick up. And what do? Cut off the fucking routes. What do they got going on in the Panama Canal right now? Backlog. Why?
So
They can't afford to fucking have it succeed, but they can't fucking get out.
No. Mm-mm. So
you know
the
why
biggest problem
is better in depressions?
Go ahead.
Oil's cheap.
Well, oil is cheaper now. I mean, it's still going to go back up.
Not on the flash crash.
No, no.
We're fine. We're fine with oil because we're rich with it. But the thing is, we have partners that are
a
rich
president
with it.
that's going to come in and make it 10 times cheaper, then it's going to get 10 times cheaper than that on the flash crash. And 30%, 40% of the fucking shipping costs are going to go down on the cost.
That's because he has to do that for election purposes. Because then he can go ahead and say, hey, well, look at me. I've gone ahead and I've lowered gas for you all. I don't know how else he does. I mean, what else can he do? And I mean, because that leads to the problem that they're going to have with this, which is basically because of the bank term funding program ending, you have these banks that are going to be lost. They have to rug pull the market, because if they continue to allow this, like Nvidia to keep on rising or Apple to keep on rising or all the Mega 7 stocks, you're basically giving money to the hedge funds and you are just making the Fed insolvent.
Trump's going to end the war in Ukraine by dropping the fucking oil price by drill, baby, drill. So fucking
I can't wait.
Aren't going to have no fucking money to be at war. The Middle East isn't going to have no fucking money through the sale of oil because we're going to provide it at such a fucking cheap price that, and everybody else industrial wise benefits from it, pushing up the markets that they shorted as a result of the shutdown, didn't report, and fucking rehypothecated all them fucking shorts to a realization of, oh shit.
Correct. No, I totally agree with that. I just think that there's two ways that the Fed, how does the Fed maneuver through this? It's either A, rug pull, take away the bank term funding program, or, because the only thing that our current people in office can actually do is keep this propped up as much as they possibly can, so they have a kumbaya moment and basically then say, "Oh, look, well, I've kept the economy afloat because look at the stock market." That's the
Except
only
that
thing
they
that
have
he
this
can
one
say.
big fucking looming problem:
Mhm.
real estate.
Oh, commercial real estate. Commercial real estate is
Yeah,
the biggest problem of them all.
right. And they can fucking say what they want. They can't get around it.
No,
And the
and
banks
that's
own most
why
of it.
all that you know. It's
What
amazing what they actually do have.
they can
I'm
create,
going to
they
pull
can
that
do
up.
Bizzle, and they can lower the fucking margin requirements by a fucking 100%. What is that of 100,000,000%?
Go ahead. I'm trying to find the actual charts for the
I'm
commercial
just
real estate that I found.
that bubble loss is so fucking big that no margin allotment is going to cover that realization.
No.
And
Mm-mm.
you take everything combined and put it together, don't even touch it.
Big pile of poopy.
How are you going to find margin for that loss?
Exactly. Where are you going to find the collateral? Where are you going to find the liquidity for all that mess?
Bear with me for 2 seconds.
And
I'm
get
trying to find this chart on commercial real estate because it's actually a good one.
we haven't seen the snowball effect of that yet. We're only looking at the numbers we know. We're not looking at the industrial suppliers side of that bankruptcy debt fault. Fuck.
No.
That comes out later, anyways.
It's the compounded factor of just what we know.
Well, their answer is AI.
You're talking about Evergrande as one company. You're talking about Ritz as a bunch of fucking capitalist fuck funds, and you're talking about banks on just that aspect of it. But you're not talking about the fact that every supplier that didn't get paid loses other contract as a result of that implode, creating corporate industrial fallout against bank borrowings in order to run the industries that fed them markets.
So this chart that's up on the screen, basically, Matt, you sent me over this earlier, but you have Valley National, Flagstar, New York Community Bank, Exos Bank, Washington Federal Bank, WAFD, Exos Bank, Bank of the Ozarks, Columbia Pacific Premium, BCI Financial Group, Independent Bank. Look at the percentage of ownership of these commercial real estate loans.
I like the next picture better on that thread.
Yeah, that one I couldn't find.
That's
It
the
wouldn't
top
pull it up.
20 of, that's the top 20 of what, 1900?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much is the Ozarks one?
Oh, Bank of Ozarks, 355%.
Okay, I'm going to buy that later.
Mm-hmm. What, are you buying puts?
No, I'm buying the bank later.
Oh, perfect. I can't wait. This is where your high. Hold on. This is where your high to maturity problem comes in.
Hey, do me a favor. Don't fire the CEO. Keep him on as a janitor.
Marty. His name is Marty.
Marty McFly. Let's get in the DeLorean.
Give him a mop and an empty bucket and a toothbrush. And tell him to spit.
Wow. I mean, just wow. But that's your HTM problem. Your HTM problem stems from the rest of this. So with all of these commercial real estate assets that you have right now, that they are just repothecating.
How many of them banks do you think are the same banks that loan to the concrete companies, the steel companies, and all the electricians, the fucking mid-business, fucking corporate contractors?
Yeah.
That are
What do you think I said that?
the resultant bankruptcies on the fallout
Yep.
of these assholes, which is also going to default on the bank.
A cascading effect.
All of them.
A cascading effect.
How many contractors work for one of these firms?
Tons.
Subcontractors.
Yeah, it's an unfathomable number that they're going to go ahead, and all these places are just going to have to go into bankruptcy.
Numbers of Evergrande, but as a conglomerate worldwide, multinational. Even if they're a $50 million fucking company with, $20 million in fucking leveraged loans, and it's gone. And you multiply that by 100 per country.
Yeah, but I mean, bye.
You want to talk about You want to talk about countries? Shoot, China with Evergrande and Country Garden alone, they thought they can grow out of Evergrande, but it ain't working out too well. And Country Garden's my bad, Evergrande and Country Garden's coming around.
You for Japan ain't no fucking better.
Yeah, true. And tomorrow,
they're all screwed.
Japan being
I mean, yeah, but they're all screwed. I mean, there's no if, then, or but about it.
Who's the biggest supplier of concrete?
that should be. I saw that before. One second.
Brazil, I think.
Really?
I think it's South America.
I never would have thunk it.
I think the lime comes from Brazil, South America, anyway.
Interesting. Interesting.
And India has a lot of lime.
Yeah, I was about to say. I know India has a shit ton of it.
But they don't supply. They don't supply the West.
China. China. China's the biggest one, and one of the biggest banks was one that almost went down too. The
shadow bank.
It was pretty much like a shadow bank, but it was one of the major banks with
fallout. So China's got a fallout in the fucking real estate market with the two biggest fucking global commercial real estate firms in the world, and they're the supplier of the lime to all the subcontractors, to the biggest fucking hire of subcontractors in the world.
Wouldn't surprise me.
If they're the biggest lime supplier, they're the 50% of the fucking concrete manufacturer.
Well, that's an issue. That's a huge issue.
Are you talking about? My bad. Are you talking about the world concrete, or are you talking about like U.S. concrete?
I'm talking about concrete in general. You need lime.
Yeah, that's gonna come from either
batteries, like you need lime for concrete.
Yeah, you probably have you have Holcim, you have Cemex, you have a lot of U.S. businesses that do it here, but for the world, China produces a lot of it. So where are they going to get that lime? Like you said, if it's coming from Brazil or somewhere else.
That's the problem. The lime price demand is going to go down because what contractors are going to need it when they have no contracts to build?
Exactly. Yeah.
So you're crashing your fucking real estate market, and now you're crashing your lime business. As a result, is one side effect.
Because this is what happens with globalization when you have this nationalism thing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting. It literally is.
What happened when we had a crunch on steel? No, you remember. What happened when we had a crunch on steel?
Shoot, lines.
Obama. What
Yeah.
happened when we had a crunch on steel? Cash
I
for
honestly
clunkers,
don't remember. Oh,
Federal
get the
funding
hell out of
program
that
to give
bullshit.
people cash to fucking sell their fucking cars and take out a loan for a new one. I was in the scrap business. I know. We made a lot of money.
I was waiting for you to say like cars for kids,
Nope,
just
cash
for fun. Cash for clunkers. Oh wow. Giggity
Hey,
giggity giggity goo.
What's this HTM thing?
cash for
By the
clunkers.
way?
Where'd that still go?
Poof.
No, it went to China. You know why?
Because they needed it for Evergrande and Country Garden.
Probably, but you know what they were building?
Ships.
Olympics.
Interesting. I had no idea. So
Swimming pools, the infrastructure for the Olympics.
interesting. So we're going to go into hold to maturity or hide till maturity. So the reason why it's called hide till maturity, because you dump any asset with the market value implying a steep loss in the HTM books and the loss is gone. However, this trick has two significant weaknesses. One, if you're forced to sell the underwater asset in an HTM book before maturity, then the loss turns from paper into real. Number two, if the asset matures, hence ceases to be eligible for HTM accounting, and the principal isn't repaid in full, then the paper loss becomes also real again. So in 2023, the Fed took care of the first weakness in the bank term funding program, which is a non-bailout that effectively allowed banks in liquidity crisis to borrow against the normal value of U.S. treasuries rather than the market ones, dodging a forced selling that would have likely triggered a domino effect of the regional bank bankruptcies. So all these banks that are too big and are benefiting from the bank term funding program, this is the only reason that they're okay, because come March, they're screwed.
Unless the fucking state passes the fucking $111 billion margin coverage bill, which
There's a
don't
bill.
pass.
There's a bill.
Divorce spending bill.
Oh, is that one of the things that's in that bill?
Does it matter what it says in the bill for what they use it for?
No, because they use it for 100 different things.
60 fucking million or 60 billion in Ukraine, almost 20 billion for Israel, and 16 billion or something like that for our border. What is it? Where's that money go when they get it? The banks. Where do the banks put it? Collateral. Asset.
Yeah. Well,
After,
I mean, they have to cover their collateral.
After they pay everybody off their percent cut for passing it.
So, okay. So if that's the case, then how does our good friend Jerome, Mr. Burns Powell, basically cut the bank term funding program, trying to institute and basically teach all these people to use the Fed window and try to tackle with the central banks like a CBDC, so that this way they avoid bailout shame. And good luck trying to put that together, because you have the elections of Japan, the UK, and us Well, while having to cut rates, it just doesn't make sense that they'd be able to go
Doesn't
ahead
make
and approve
sense.
that.
Go to auction and sell a fucking debt bond anymore. So you got to incentivize people how to use a discount window to make it more attractive, because you're fucked.
No, but I'm talking about that bill just in general, because is it passed the Senate, or has it gotten to the House yet, or no?
The Senate made the bill. It's gone
Okay.
to the
It's
Senate.
going to the House.
The Senate already assumed that they're going to pass it, but it can't pass it till the funding department, which is the House, passes it back to the Senate to be passed. Now, what
The House ain't passing shit.
the House got predetermined that it will pass, and then they're forwarding it to the Senate. But after all the transparency that came into what it is, I don't even know if the Senate can pass it. But it was already authorized to go to the House. So the House is fucking tearing it apart. I don't think it'll pass the House. But even if it does, I don't even know if I don't think the Senate will pass it, even though they thought they could. Because people actually
I don't
read it. And that was the whole thing about the not doing the omnibuses and breaking this shit down. So people actually had time to read what the languages. One of the languages in that bill is that the funding for our southern border cannot be litigated against or sued against outside of the Delaware district.
Interesting.
So they're
There's
basically
no way that
Texas can't fucking sue the government in Texas district. They have to take their fucking complaints to Delaware, where they'll trust their courts to fucking send Texas back to Texas with their hands empty.
What? Wow. That is absolute bullshit. In every sense of the word.
25 states is aligned with Texas, so I don't think that shit's passing.
No. Not even close. So the problem that we're basically running into is that when this all comes to a closure, what is the thing that most likely implodes first? Your commercial real estate, as we've been talking about already. So the NBER basically is saying right now that we're going to have to come up with either a new currency or a new market-based recapitalization for a solution for commercial real estate, which let's just say that they're not going to happen.
You can't fucking bilateral transfer a fucking debt on a fucking economy to some anything. I don't care if you fucking move, if you move the current economy to a fucking horse shit manure economy based system, it's still fucking worthless. You can't transfer owed debt. It's still owed at the same ratio. It takes a lot more manure.
It does. It takes a shit ton. It takes an absolute shit ton of manure for you to be able to put that on. But I'm going to give you a translation. So banks need a bailout. That's what it comes down to. You have this commercial real estate problem, which is the tip of the iceberg.
For the fucking top 1%, the fucking 10% fucking market cap ownership out of their fucking personal account into the fucking retail holders account in order to the fuckery that they've been doing for fucking 50 years.
Correct. But still with the system the way it is designed, the banks need a bailout. That's the only way that they can actually stay afloat.
Or
with your
cap transfer.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're going to fight tooth and nail.
Here, market cap has a value for a reason. People put money in something. It went to the market cap. They took it out of that market cap, moved it somewhere else. Move it the fuck back.
Of course. That's what we all want. But are they going to give that to us?
Fuck them and their bailout.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
I'll burn
they ain't
Washington.
going to get a bailout. They're not going to get a bailout. And that's what I'll read to basically conclude our live stream here. But the banks need a bailout. We all know that commercial real estate is at the tip of the iceberg of the financial system problem. Credit card debt, buy now, pay later, consumer loans, student loans, auto loans,
You know who's
mortgages.
uneducated enough to fucking not get around the tax value of their gains on a transfer? Retail.
Yeah.
Government wants fucking money. Do the transfer. 50% of that revenue will go to the fucking government, and they'll be able to pay off half that fucking debt that they created in 3 years, just on the fucking tax value of the 50% of the gain on the transfer value of the fuckery that they did for the last decade.
Correct. So what I'm trying to state in this is that it doesn't matter if they cut rates, which we know that they can't. It doesn't matter what they try to do. This is happening regardless. It has to, because there has to be something. There has to be something that basically says, hey, you know what? Here's a correction. This is what's going to happen. But they're going to try and get you a bailout. So I'm going to read this because this is the most important thing really to all of it. And what we're talking about is the bailout. So bear with me for 1 second. Sometime soon, the economy is going to have a massive correction. If this is allowed to happen without bailouts or intervention from the government, prices will fall, deflation will set in, and the ruling class who set these conditions in motion will lose the most, which is why they'll push hard for bailouts, which you'll be made to pay for with interest. The government and corporate media will pull out every single stop to fearmonger you into supporting it. They'll tell you that if they don't get their bailout, you will lose everything, but it's a lie. The truth is, if they get their bailouts, you'll lose more. They'll get it all, and the prices will continue to rise. Reject their lies and demand that the elected officials let the correction happen without any bailouts. To be clear, when the correction comes, things will be tough for most people. Joblessness, depletion of savings, temporary increase in poverty. If bailouts happen too, all of that will be worse. And the people who created those conditions will be rewarded for doing it, which is an incentive for them to do it again and again and again. But if the bailouts don't happen and these too big to fail banks and corporations collapse, so will prices, and smaller competitors will have an opportunity to rise. Companies who didn't engage in reckless business practices will be rewarded with larger market shares and more profit. Those of you who have saved and waited for a chance to own a home or a business will have that opportunity, and the jobs will come back, this time without prices outstripping income. And there will be no incentive for the banks and policymakers to play fast and loose with your economy again. You want to be able to afford food, fuel, and other basic necessities. You want to be able to buy a home, then demand no bailouts. Only support officials and candidates who refuse to bail out a single crony. Let them suffer the consequences of what they have created for a change.
I'm going to add something to that. What I said earlier about the transfer of market cap, I meant it.
Mm-hmm.
And the government's going to get, I won't say 50%, but let's say they get 35% of that transfer on average.
Mm-hmm.
Especially given the current situation with all the short-term values on people's accounts based on market occurrences in the last less than a year. You add to that retail consumerism on the value of that to stimulate companies and the economy, we're out of a depression.
Of course.
Now, as far as home ownership and stuff, it's funny because they say in a depression, you know, after the 2009 crash, the best way to make your money was real estate. Yes, after the crash.
Of course. I mean, but that's
Now, the problem
after.
after the crash, most people didn't have a credit rating or money to buy real estate. So if you're situated where you can, yes, you can make a lot of fucking money. Ken Griffin did it. That's how he saved Citadel. He did it with cash
Correct.
capital through mortgage lending that was secured, so that when they got the bailout, they had to pay their debt to him. So he had enough cash to rebuild his business after he lost his ass. Otherwise, you'd never see him today.
I couldn't agree more with you. Couldn't agree more. And it's 100% truth. And I totally agree with that. Just so everybody does
I
know.
left Blackstone.
Mhm.
And then Blackstone got into pension business. That's how they survived, because they're fucking Chicago.
Oh, yeah. They're screwing Chicago over big time. So that's the end of our review on Geode Capital, on the HTMs, the bank term funding program, and we added some nuggets in there that we're basically going to discuss and talk about tonight. Guys, thank you for coming to the live stream for this. It was always a pleasure, and we will be back on here at 9:20 to do the space call. Guys, thank you very much for coming. You guys have a wonderful evening.
Have a good night. See you in a bit.